Well, I think I have the same concerns that most Georgians do, and in fact most Americans, and that is concerned about the direction this country's going. I'm concerned about the direction the state's going, the lack of leadership, the lack of thoughtful public policy. Those are the things that brought me to this race, and I think that my background, experience in local government, 4 years on the county commission, serving as chairman of that body, then 9 years on the state transportation board, being elected twice as chairman of that, makes me uniquely qualified to be the next state senator.
Obviously, you have experience running or being in office in Atlanta, working with the Department of Transportation. How do you feel that'll benefit you if you're elected to this position?
Well, I certainly have a unique experience in transportation. I understand the federal program. I understand the federal budgeting process. I understand the state program and the state budgeting process. And you know, I've developed a national reputation for expertise in public-private, when we bring in the private sector to bring their capital to help build road projects, and also transfer the risk to the private sector and take it off the taxpayers of the state. So I certainly understand transportation. I understand it from an urban situation. I understand it from a rural and suburban situation. And I think my credentials as far as transportation are certainly unmatched in this race.
Obviously, in this race, it's kind of been hotly contested and very debatable, or highly debated. One of the, I guess, comments is questioning your party affiliation. What do you got to say about that?
Well, you know, if you're my age, at one point or another, if you're over 40 years old, in fact, at one point or another, you were probably a Democrat at one time. And in 2005, I changed parties and became a Republican. And I have always pulled a Republican ballot since then. Unlike my opponent, my past is not something I've hid. I've admitted I was a Democrat. I admitted it ever since I changed parties in 2005.
Being a one-time Democrat, now a Republican, do you think that will play a part reaching across the aisle, working with both sides? Because obviously you get some people that refuse to hear the other side of the arguments. You know, that could be a favorable thing in your position.
Well, let me tell you, I think it's clear that one of my other opponents in this race clearly puts party ahead of the people. And I'm just the opposite. I've told folks before, I really don't care whether you're a Democrat or whether you're a Republican or an independent. I'm looking for people to help me move this state forward. I want to go to Atlanta. I want to roll up my sleeves. I want to find anybody that's willing to help me move this state forward and work on good, creative, thoughtful public policy.
You know, a lot of folks are forgetting the third-person candidate in this race. How do you feel about that? Do you think that's kind of been a distraction toward that?
No. You know, Hayden Collins is a fine person and a fine man, and a great veteran that's in this race and served our country well and with distinction. And you know, Hayden has some different ideas, just like I have some different ideas. But you know, the one thing about Hayden, he's talked about issues just like I have. My opponent has decided to make this a personal campaign, attack on my character, attack on everything about me. And the debate in Cartersville the other night was a prime example. We got an opportunity to introduce ourselves. Chuck Hufstetler spent 1:57 of his 2 minutes blasting me on his opening remarks, and it never stopped till the evening was over. Hayden and I stuck to the issues and offered some fairly common sense conservative solutions to the problems facing our district.
How do you feel, or what do you feel makes you the right person for this job that's different from the other two in this race?
Well, we can all try to out-conservative one another. That seems to be the main thing. But I certainly have a track record. When I was a county commissioner, we had the lowest millage rate in the last 30 years. That's a fact. Just look it up. When on the state transportation board, I chaired 2 years were the most progressive, most productive, most efficient times in the history of the Georgia DOT. We've just been recognized as being #1 in the nation in getting projects out the door on schedule, and #2 in the nation on budget. I think that having local experience and state experience, having the relationships, knowing the lieutenant governor, knowing the governor, knowing the speaker, knowing many of the legislators, knowing my way around the Capitol, I can start on day one. There's no on-the-job training necessary with David Doss.
What is it about Rome and Floyd County and the 52nd that you just love and you want to give back to?
Well, just that. You know, I'm a native here. I grew up here. I've raised my family here. I've worked here my entire life. I have a long history of civil service, public service to this community.